you see the world differently? Because we're looking for filmmakers and animators for BBC.
Tonight.
My uncle's expecting me.
Well, I'm a policeman, so you can trust me.
The bogus copper who lures children into his car. The armed robbers with an eye for theatricals. What was Tiger's secret that had two people shoot him in the street? A bag snatch, but one of the most violent we have ever come across. And to these belong to you. They're part of the biggest antiques haul ever seized by the Met. That's CrImewatch.
Some ways.
Yes.
30, madam.
And what do you have in the...
You may also like our...
She recently has written a novel about the messy life.
Oh, Jess, we need to order...
To be dressed for a part in a play.
Get on the floor! Get on the floor! Get on the floor! Get down! Get down on the floor! What do you want? I said get down on the floor!
As he shouted at me, he stood holding what I can only describe as a medieval dagger.
Get down on the floor! Get your hands above your head!
I didn't dare move. I formed the impression that there were more than two others in the shop.
All right. Is anyone get down on the floor? Move! Get down on the floor! Is anyone else back there?
Jess, come out of the office!
Come out!
Jess, come out of the office!
Get down! Get down! Say that to him right now! I'm not messing about! Right, come on!
I could hear someone smashing the laminated glass at the window with a hammer. The man reached in and removed items, but I stayed concentrated on the man in front of me.
Is anyone else back there?
Opposite to where Diane was. It smashed the window and it was terrifying. I didn't know whether or not the men were going to be violent towards us.
It was simply smash and grab, and they let it be hot because it's very distinctive, and some pieces are unique, like this Art Deco diamond and emerald bracelet.
I was on duty with my colleague and we were driving along Wood Street when our attention was drawn to a woman rushing out of the jewellers. She had a long black flowing coat on and ran down Cook's Alley. I pulled over in the car and my...
Come on! Get out!
As soon as I got out of the car, I saw two men dressed all in black and they headed off down Cook's Alley. And then I saw two more men, one carrying a bag, being chased by the owner of the shop.
Over dispatch, urgent assistance required. Robbery in progress, Howard Stuart, Wood Street. 4 offenders made off on foot, heading towards Gill Street.
The chase came to an end in Great William Street. As I came round the corner, I saw a Mercedes parked the wrong way up the one-way street, and it sped off up towards Maidenhead Road. We recovered the Mercedes a short while later, about a quarter of a mile further up the road. We realised it had been stolen on the 2nd of January from the Erdington area of Birmingham, but we don't know where it had been between the 2nd of January and the day of the robbery. We believe they then got into a second Mercedes, which was parked nearby, but we did recover quite an assortment of items from the boot of the first Mercedes, and that included machete, false beards, moustaches, glasses, and quite a few bags and other assorted items.
This is DI George Stepney, and although we didn't show it, one of the pursuing officers, that machete was used on him.
The medieval knife would appear to have been used. He was very lucky he turned away and avoided a strike to the head. Unfortunately, he was wearing sort of winter weight clothing, but he took a very heavy blow to his back that knocked him to the floor, and the other attackers kicked him on their way out, obviously to disable him so that he couldn't give chase.
Now, it's hard to see how...
To Erdington and to South Yardley. And the A-Class Mercedes, now that was stolen on the 2nd of January.
That's about 3 weeks before the robbery?
Indeed, 23 days, and that was at 7 p.m. And 3 white men were seen to take that car in an opportunist crime when the owner was just opening his house, left the car keys in the house door, and it was taken on that occasion. And obviously we've linked it now to the CLK Mercedes.
That's the convertible.
A very distinctive car with a very dark soft top and in a colour that isn't produced now. And that was taken in November between the 10th and the 12th from South Yardley, that are sort of contrasting districts in Birmingham. But they've obviously liked that car. This gang one-way street and avoid oncoming traffic.
And the disguise is that, what is it called, a wimple or a snood, or whatever that woman was wearing?
We've recovered a snood.
That's what it's called?
It's like a tube, really. As you can see, it's been pulled up, but she had to expose her face, otherwise they wouldn't have allowed her into the jewellers. And obviously they've taken extreme steps now to improve their security.
Now, you reckon people in the underworld in Birmingham will have
still riding around in this CLK Mercedes.
This purple one, and it's so unusual. We found it impossible to get another one. I mean, I think you had to doctor an image or whatever to get one. Very hard to find.
Indeed. But also, if they have broken these items of jewellery down, and it will be a tragedy because they are antique, there's going to be at least 500 valuable gems that they're going to have to move through the trade, and that's going to be recognisable for people who don't normally have this sort of jewellery.
Well, call us if you can help, 0500 600 600, or you can call the Instant Room in Stratford-upon-Avon itself. That's on 01926 415 796.
Also on tonight's programme, the double life of a boxer from North London.
She found Alistair lying on the doorway within the porch with a number of injuries.
A new clue to a shocking murder in the north of Scotland. 12 men, all wanted for rape. See if you know their faces.
And do any of these belong to you? They're part of the biggest haul of antiques ever seized by the Met.
In the studio, and by 1:15 in the morning, a man was being questioned about armed robberies which had gone on for a decade across the Midlands. During the investigation, police had brought in a crime analyst.
I was brought on board as the intelligence analyst to prepare what we call a CCA, or a comparative case analysis. It's a spreadsheet which we compile, which shows the key features of each offence. Because we only have CCTV images for some of the offences, I have to find other evidence that suggests that the offences are all being carried out by the same person.
And we had over 50 calls during the programme. One viewer clearly knew the man and said where he was working that night. The suspect was arrested and he's been charged with 18 offences of armed robbery and possessing an imitation firearm.
Also in last month's programme, we showed you the faces of 12 people suspected of fraud, including that of Paul Baker. Now, we can't show you Paul Baker's picture tonight because following a call to the programme, he and his wife, who was also wanted for the same offences, were arrested. They've been charged with fraud, with money laundering and with failing to appear in court.
Last month, this frame contained a picture of David Matz, who was wanted for defrauding an elderly woman. After his face was on Crime Watch, he gave himself up. He's awaiting trial for fraud.
And some intriguing new information about these two who are caught on camera trying to get other people's cash from banks in Stockport, Greater Manchester. Following Crime Watch, staff from several other banks in Keswick in Cumbria went en masse to the local police station to say that the same women had also been trying it on there. If you recognise these two, give us a call.
Another silhouette, this time a man who was wanted for a series of burglaries in the southeast. By coincidence, he was arrested just before Crime Watch went on air, and he's been charged with 20 burglaries.
In May last year, we showed a reconstruction of the rape of a 64-year-old woman in Edmonton, North London. 8 months later, there was another rape in the same area. Independently of Crime Watch, a man has now been charged.
Faces to show you, all wanted by my colleagues in forces across the UK for very serious offences. Peter Price is sought in connection with serious assaults on a child in Somerset. He's 45, 6 feet tall and has a very short dark hair flecked with grey. He usually has a goatee beard and 2 earrings in the same ear. Peter Price's last known address was in the Huyton Rainhill area of Merseyside, but he may now be in Scarborough in North Yorkshire.
Our colleagues on the Isle of Man want to speak to Stephen Connolly following an operation to crack down on the importation of drugs. He's 5'10" and speaks with a heavy Scouse accent. Stephen Connolly has a hair lip and a prominent scar under his right nostril. He may be in the Bootle area of Liverpool.
And Stefano Calderoni is wanted for assaulting a police officer in Chobham, Surrey in August. The officer was badly injured after being beaten with his own baton. Calderoni is 25, athletic and has curly, receding hair. He's Italian and speaks little English. He has connections in Slough and the Northolt area of London.
Darren Hogan is charged with causing grievous bodily harm to a baby. He's 27, 6 foot, and wears an earring in his left ear. He's worked as a sales assistant in electrical retailers in the past. Darren Hogan's last known address was in Milton Keynes, and we think he's likely to still be around there.
0500 600 600 if you can help with any of these cases.
Now, the phone call that led to murder.
Tyson, he fought over here with Nigel Benn.
What have you?
No, I'm all right, thanks.
See you later.
See you.
Tiger was my older brother. He has 4 other sisters. He was the best brother you could ever want. He was very affectionate. He would always help his sisters, and you could see that with his children as well. He had 2 children, 2 little girls, Ava and Skye, and he was just the best daddy to them.
Although Tiger was very close to his family, he was very secretive about his working practices. We know he worked as a bodyguard for people, and we know he moved packages around for people. What we don't know is who he was working with on the day he was killed, and his movements on that particular day.
Later, a man was walking down Hertford Road. He heard gunshots coming from Cedar Avenue.
I looked down Cedar Avenue and saw a dark blue van. I saw one man. He was running, he was stocky, he was wearing a cream-coloured top. And left into Hertford Road and went past me. The number plate on it started with a K. As I carried on walking past the Rose and Crown, I saw some kids standing outside.
Do you know who these teenagers were? They may... 10 minutes after that, a driver decided to turn round in Cedar Avenue. Tiger had been shot twice in the head at point-blank range and died at the scene. He was 33 years old.
On the Thursday, the police gave the rest of Eva, who's 3½, and I picked her up in my arms and I said, "Would you like to say goodbye to Daddy?" And she said, tears, and I said, "I'd ask goodbye to her Daddy."
Well, this is DCI Dick Langley. I mean, it certainly looks like it could have been a contract killing, this, doesn't it? What about a motive?
We have absolutely no idea what the motive is at all. And yes, I agree with you. It does look like a contract killing.
And what about details of Tiger's life? I mean, that, as well as a motive for the murder, you want to know more about his life, don't you?
We do. Tiger was very secretive about his life. It was very clear with his family, but what he did to earn his living, no one seems to know, or certainly no one in the family knows. And we have no idea what he was doing the day he was murdered.
So any information as to what was going on in his life, as to his background, as you say, what he was doing the day he was murdered, that's the kind of information you want to know?
They were both white. The driver was about 30, stocky build, brown wavy hair, scruffy, wearing a creamy coloured jacket or jumper. And the passenger was younger, between about 20, 25, with very distinctive cropped hair or skinhead type haircut, and wearing a very distinctive orange top with either a blue or green band around it, or brown band around it.
Certainly putting all that together, the orange top with maybe the brown band around it, the people carrier. I mean, it's possible there are people in the criminal fraternity who know about this and aren't going to be particularly keen to talk to, you know, the likes of you here in the studio. I mean, calls here are absolutely untraceable. I mean, obviously you'd like them to call openly, but they could call anonymously if they want, couldn't
yes, they?
If you know a motive for Tiger's murder, you can tell us anything else about him. Maybe you're a friend of his. You don't want this to go unpunished. Call us in the studio. It's untraceable, as I said, on 0500 police here. You can call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 08.
Not reported and sadly not always solved, which means the perpetrators can go on to do it again. Now, CrImewatch viewers have so far helped to convict 57 rapists. Tonight we've gathered a total of 12 men all suspected of rape, and we need your help to find them. Miroslav Folkovich is wanted in connection with the rape and several other assaults which took place in Bradford in December. He's in his mid-20s and around 5'10" with an athletic build. Folkovich He's also known as Petra, but he may use other names. Ahmed Ostadzidar is wanted for raping a woman in a takeaway where he was working in Blackpool in January 2004. He uses different names and often calls himself Antonio. He's 36, wears earrings and is originally from Iran. Ostadzidar has connections in London and Hull and may be working in another takeaway. Now we're appealing to minicab drivers for help with the whereabouts of Mohammed Ahmadi. He used to be a cab driver in southeast London and we need to talk to him in case he has information about a rape which took place in his cab in September. Now he's 33 and originally from Afghanistan. And Glenn Jones was charged with 4 rapes and 7 indecent assaults against children. He was given bail but failed to turn up at Worcester Crown Court. He's shown here with a goatee beard, but he may now have shaved it off and put on weight. He's a talkative man who makes friends easily and is trained as a plumber. He has connections in Blackpool, and although we have his passport, we believe he may try to leave the country, heading for France or Spain. 0500 600 600, if you recognise any of them, there'll be more.
About a truly baffling murder, that of Alistair Wilson, a father of 2, who was shot on his doorstep in Nairn, in the north of Scotland.
It's a killing that has stunned this town and the police officers searching for both a
The incident room is on 01.
Antiques ever recovered by the Metropolitan Police, but they could come from anywhere in the UK. All the pieces are waiting to be claimed by their rightful owners. And to tell us more is Paul Hayes. Well, some beautiful things here. Paul, what have we picked out?
Well, we've got some very distinctive items. If you look at this lady's writing desk here from the 19th century, it's been decorated in the manner of André Charles Boulle. Now, he developed a method of cutting brass and tortoiseshell at the same time, and then used contrasting pieces to come up with these wonderful marquetry panels.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It is. It's slightly distressed, which means it's slightly damaged, but still beautiful.
It's seen a bit of wear and tear. Can we open it at all?
This just opens at the front here, and it reveals a fitted interior, but there's something about the interior which we're keeping back.
That only the owner will know, and that's the key information they need to give us.
That's right.
And what would something like this be worth?
You're looking to which goes back to the time when tea was very, very expensive. Now, in here you'd have your black and your green tea, which we brought out for ceremony, kept under lock and key, but it's been decorated with tortoiseshell and mother of pearl, and at a time, really, when it was the thing to be using.
Beautiful, isn't it?
You're looking probably 1500 to... Beautiful oil painting of the Madonna and Child, which is very well done, and then overlaid with solid silver panels on the front. Then the whole thing is encased in this wonderful sort of scalloped edge case, so it's very important for somebody, this.
And what is it that someone can say, it can ring in tonight? How can they identify it as their own?
Well, there's actually a scripted mark on this in Russian, which only the real owner would know, so that's what we're looking for.
Okay. And what is this beautiful sculpture over here? This bronze, presumably?
This is a beautiful bronze sculpture, dates from the 1920s, 1930s, and it's typical of what you find. This one's based on Peter Pan. If you have a look at his pointed ears on the top here, and it shows really that the designers of the time were trying to put across this very realistic, very natural, very innocent sort of sculpture, and it's by a very prominent French manufacturer, but there are a couple of markings on that again.
Again, only the owner will know.
Yes.
And how much would this be worth?
You're looking between 3 and...
Right.
But very distinctive. And finally, we've got these silver items here. Now, this is very important when you're looking at the whole police memorabilia.
Right, very appropriate for tonight, obviously.
Exactly, yeah. Now, these date from 1803. Which is actually 26 years before the police force was founded.
Really?
And they were presented to constables at that time by the local mayor, so like the sheriff's office, if you like. So very important when you come to the whole history of the police force. Value-wise, 1500 to...
UK/crime if you want to know more about these. And the Met are taking these treasures on the road in the hope they can be reunited with Lieutenant Jeremy Payne with the latest on our call so far tonight.
I'd like to take you back to the Stratford-upon-Avon jewellery robbery that we showed earlier. Have you seen any of the unique items of jewellery that was stolen? In particular, an Art Deco diamond and emerald bracelet. Also, the getaway car, that's still missing, but there's been 2 possible sightings which police will be investigating. It's a mauve Mercedes convertible. The registration is W792VRK. Where is that car tonight, Jeremy?
Now, we just did the reappeal on the 2 women suspected of fraud in Manchester. Lots of calls on that. One suggesting that the 2 women who were seen in Hyde last week had a police officer ring up to say that he knows one of them, dealt with one of them recently. Lots of the information matches up, so we're right on your case. I would suggest you give yourself up now. Nick.
Still to come.
My uncle's expecting me.
Well, I'm a policeman, so you can trust me.
The bogus copper who us.
woman with mental health problems in a kebab shop in Exeter 2 years ago. He's from Turkey and speaks good English, though with an accent. He's 64. Now, we believe he's working in a kebab shop somewhere in the UK, possibly in London. Patrika Staniak is wanted for questioning about a rape in Barnet, North London 2 months ago. The victim was attacked at knife point in her own home. He's 21, 5'10", and originates from Poland. Patrika Staniak has been working at car washes in Colindale, and his last known address was in Hendon. He also has connections in Camden. And Desmond O'Sullivan disappeared halfway through his trial for rape at Woolwich Crown Court. He was found guilty in his absence and sentenced to 6.5 years. His last known address was Plumpton, South London, but he may have returned to Cork in Ireland, where he comes from. Desmond O'Sullivan is also known as Paddy and likes to drink in pubs. He was under the care of a social worker and on medication for depression, so it's likely that a doctor or pharmacist will have come across him. Wamuzula Penza is wanted in connection with rape in Birkenhead, Merseyside in September. He's 21 and speaks good English with a Zambian accent, working in healthcare. 0500 600 600, and I'll be back shortly with the last 4.
Sexual assaults against children by strangers are very, very rare, surprisingly so. But a serial attacker in Wakefield...
Quite a bit. Always at my sister's with her niece, because they're very close. She's into music, quite sporty.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Come over here. Can you give me directions to Flanshaw Hotel?
Yeah, you carry on down this road and then you turn down one of the hills.
Well, it's not far, is it?
No.
Well, do you want to get in and show me?
I can't. I'm waiting for my bus.
Well, where are you going?
Into Wakefield.
Well, if you get in and show me, then I'll drop you there.
It's okay, I've got a bus ticket.
Just get in the car, will you?
Will you drop me off when we're there?
I'll drop you off in Wakefield.
Where are you going? We've gone the wrong way.
It's okay. I'll drop you off in Holbury. And you can tell me where you live.
Where are you taking me?
I'm taking you somewhere.
Where? Please stop the car. No, please, I want to get out. Help!
Are you going to do what I tell you to do? Do it now or you're going to get it.
While being driven towards Ossett, the 13-year-old was sexually assaulted.
She was feeling scared, frightened. Just must have really terrified her. Can't be allowed to do it to anybody else.
After a 4-mile journey, she was left in Ossett 30...
Something had happened, and can we get to this house? She was just in a state, and it was just a nightmare. It's only recently she started going back out again. How can anybody do that to a child?
So far as we know, there's a 15-month gap until the man was seen again on Batley Road, but this time the girl he was targeting didn't get in the car.
Look, it's all right, I'm a police officer.
We believe that man is the same person.
All right, thank you.
We know it's a silver car. It's a small family-sized car. It may be a Yaris, it may be a Peugeot. We know that this attacker is getting braver and more confident in his actions.
He certainly is. 1 month later, New Year's Eve, on the same road.
She doesn't go out with boys or anything like that. She just likes shopping with her friends and losing her dad. She lost her dad 18 months ago. And it's just compounded what she's going through.
Excuse me? Do you know where Renthorpe is?
Oh, yeah, it's just up there.
Oh, here, get in car and show me.
Oh, I can't. My uncle's expecting me.
Well, I'm a policeman, so you can trust me.
I would, but my uncle's expecting me any time now.
Well, jump in, and when I bring you back, I'll explain to him.
I'm not sure.
Well, if you don't get in car now, I'll...
Piled an E-fit, and that E-fit suggests a male round about 30 years old. Has a fat face, short brown hair, possibly with sideburns. Has a dark blue, black Berkhouse Fleece.
Where do you need to go?
I need to go and see someone at the shop.
Yeah, there's the shop that you wanted.
Oh, shit. I'll turn around.
He kept on driving, saying he were going to turn around, but he didn't.
We believe the car with Claire travelled along Batley Road into Renthorpe Lane and then towards junction 41 of the M1. We have CCTV of a silver Yaris that was travelling along Renthorpe Lane at about the time of the attack. We need to eliminate that car from our inquiry. We know from Claire that she was driven to Stony Lane, an area just outside Wakefield by the M1. Even though the person might not be from the Wakefield area, he certainly does have local knowledge of Wakefield.
It was just like a deserted place. I was really, really scared.
The girl was sexually assaulted. She was 12 years old.
For it to happen like this to such a vulnerable child, you know, you just can't comprehend why somebody would want to do this. She won't go to bed, you know, without me. I've got to tell her if I'm going to hang the washing out. She really doesn't feel safe.
Can you take me home now?
She was returned to Batley Road just...
This man seems to haunt them.
Any young people who've been approached in the Wakefield area by a man in the silver car, come forward. The information that they have might be absolutely vital to leading to the capture of this attacker.
She's changed her hair. She just tried to change her appearance, I think. So if this man does see her, he might not recognise her.
Take another look at the E-fit. Can you put a face, anything like that, together with a small silver car in that area? Now, we showed a Toyota Yaris, but it could have been any other small silver car, Peugeot 206, maybe a Ford Fiesta, anything like that. Another clue is that the man was wearing black trousers with what was described as a prominent crease in them. Did you see a man, anything like this then, in a silver car, approaching girls in the Wakefield area? But there's another important issue. Have you been a victim and not reported it? Or a near victim of this man? Maybe he approached you, you didn't get into the car, and you had no idea that he's been associated with dangerous crimes like this. He is very, very dangerous. Please help put a stop to him. It's a free call to the studio, 0500 600 600, or you can speak to detectives at the incident room in Wakefield. That's a free phone number, 0800. Now is PC Jonathan Morrison again.
I've got more villains caught on camera. Tell us where we can lay our hands on them tonight. First, an attack on the London Underground. A gang of youths go into Maida Vale Station in West London looking for two boys they had a fight with earlier. When one of the gang finally catches up with them, he gets on the same train and... Now, onto Eastbourne and credit card fraud. We need to identify this woman. She's using a stone... Another deception now in Stourbridge in the West Midlands. This woman is at a branch of the Lloyds TSB trying to withdraw cash from someone else's account. Staff at the bank get suspicious and she leaves empty-handed. Do you know who she is? Onto Old Colwyn in North Wales and a burglary at a petrol station. We believe these men are tampering with the alarm system in the shop. Later that day, after closing, the shop was burgled. The alarm system failed to work and it was later confirmed it had been interfered with. We need to speak to these men in connection with the burglary. Do you recognise any of them? Finally, do you recognise this man? He was caught in a camera at a bank in Smethwick in the West Midlands after attempting an armed robbery. Please tell us his name. Don't let them get away with it. 0500 600 600 if you can help with any of these cases.
Cavendish Singh, who is known as Bob, was murdered a year ago in Cheetham, Manchester. He was a bystander when a fight broke out between two groups of men in a takeaway. One of the groups hit him with a large piece of wood and then stamped on his head. He never regained consciousness and died 16. What had happened?
It was Easter weekend and Gamir was away and I was waiting to give him his dinner, but he never came. Then me and his dad went to bed and I just kept awake thinking, wonder why he hasn't come home, you know.
And by the time you got to see him in hospital, he was unconscious at that point, wasn't he?
The police phoned us about 5 o'clock in the morning and he says to me that, are you Stockpark Singh? And I says, yeah. The mother of Calvinda, I says, yeah. And he says, could you come to the hospital? Your son's been straight away. So we quick got out of bed and we went to the North Manchester General. And by the time we got there, he was already on life support machines and that. And it was very hard to see him, you know, like that.
It must have been awful. And Gamir, of course, you never got a chance to talk to him either. Once he was in hospital, he never regained consciousness. I mean, tell us a bit about Bob.
Very family orientated. He spent all his spare time with us at home.
Because you have
long-lasting effects. She's really made herself poorly, Tina has. She's physically sick. We've seen him. Things that they had to see in hospital after he'd been operated on and he was on life support. We left him on the 7th of April, well and happy, and we came back on the 10th with on life support, fighting for his life.
And Martin, you've got a first time to the country, and we've also got photographs of them. Now this first one is Mariam Seme, and he goes by the nickname of Chimmy. The second one is Miriam Hussein, and he goes by the nickname of Yarni. The third is Alfred Curti, and his nickname is Ardi. And the fourth is Artan Hussein, and his nickname is Tacy.
You've also got footage of them as well, haven't you?
Yes, this footage was shot at a party near to the murder scene immediately before Bob was killed.
Now the thing is, you know who they are. Have you any idea where they are?
Well, we know that Chimmy was in Worcester perhaps in May or June last year, and for certain Yarni travelled to Tottenham in north-east London immediately after the murder. We believe that Ardi and Tacy went to Dublin, but at this moment in time we don't know where any of them are.
Well, that's the key information you need to know, isn't it?
They were working in food packaging premises, and it's possible that they're anywhere in the UK at the moment working in similar casual manual labour.
Okay, well, Gamir, I mean, what would you say to people who are out there who may know who these men are, maybe that the men themselves are watching? I mean, how much difference would it make to you?
It make a lot of difference because obviously I can't bring Bob in order and helping him to rest, I suppose.
And also they were so violent, I mean, it's possible they could do this to someone else, isn't it?
It was such a ruthless attack. At the time, Bob had 18 fractures in his face. They had broken his eye socket, his cheek.
It was a completely unprovoked attack. Please call if you have any information on these men, where they are, any information at all, 0500. Now, here are Jonathan and Jeremy.
We've 4 cases for you to look at now. Let's see if you can solve them. First, these pictures were taken at a spa shop in Biggleswade, Saxon Centre, on Sunday the 9th of January. The images aren't very clear, but you can see a pickup vehicle repeatedly reversing into the shop. It was a blue MItSubIShI, registration number V6 around midnight. The robbers used a red Nissan 300ZX sports car, registration L744YHR, as the getaway car. It was stolen from St Neots just before the raid and found abandoned on the outskirts of Biggleswade later that morning. There's a 10,000. The landlord and his family were lucky not to have been killed. Their home was rammed by a silver Range Rover, registration H419, and 2 hours later. If you have information on any of
Lloyd's TSB in Northolt Road, South Harrow in June last year, a man went up to the counter and produced a note demanding money. He implied he had a firearm and he was wearing a 1966 style England
where a 69-year-old man had been targeted by someone claiming to be a bailiff and demanding money. On one occasion, the youth forced his way into the victim's home, knocking him to the floor and stealing his wallet. He's now stolen a big part of the victim's savings. Tell us who he is, and even better, where we can find him tonight.
Now, an unusual armed robbery in Slough in Berkshire. On Sunday, the 16th of January, 2 men posing as women went into the Arry Jewellers in Farnham Road. One was pushing a pram. Once inside, they threatened members of staff with a gun and stole most of the shop's contents, plus a quantity of cash. The staff were tied up in the back of the shop. The jewellery taken weighed about 40
all stamped with the initials AJ. Now we would like to trace some witnesses who may remember the robbers leaving the shop, as the shutters were partially closed. One was a girl who had to avoid the pram as she walked past, followed by 2 adults, and then another man. And we'd like to trace this man who saw them go into the shop. Now there's a £20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of these men. 0500 600 600.
Now to Camberwell in South London on a Sunday morning about 6 weeks ago.
BBC Radio 4, it's 6 o'clock on Sunday the 27th of February. The news with Vaughan Savage. Good morning. Police investigating the murder of a Roman Catholic in Belfast have freed a man they'd been questioning. Robert McCartney died after a fight at a...
My normal routine in the morning is, if I'm going to work that morning, would be to get up about 6 o'clock and then have a shower, tidy my room, and then get dressed, and then get something for breakfast. The bus stop is quite nearby to where I live. Usually if it's in the week, there would be quite a number of buses going past, but being a Sunday, you would probably have to wait a little while. So I pondered for a minute and said, should I wait for a bus? If I do wait for a bus, I might have to wait 10, 15 minutes. So I decided to walk because it was a nice, crisp morning. When I approached the traffic lights, of course I looked to see whether it's clear, and that made me look up. And when I looked up, I saw this man coming forward towards the traffic lights, quite in a rush. What made me notice him when I looked straight across at him, jumping around, and they looked very glassy. I crossed over then because it was green for me, and then I sort of slightly looked towards my left because I'd seen this man, but I didn't see anything. So I presumed he probably had crossed over.
Give me your mobile phone! Go! Go!
It was just horrible.
What's happened? Did you fall over? Are you okay? I've been run. Oh, I just saw someone running off down the road. Can you stand up or call the police? Okay, put all your weight on me.
Her bag was retrieved a few minutes later in a nearby road. The thief had taken her earphones and a pink makeup bag, but curiously had left her fractured eye socket and other serious facial injuries. It's the level of violence that makes this case so urgent.
Just feel somebody who's done such an appalling deed should pay for it. I have changed my routines. Normally I love walking. I've stopped walking now. I'm being attacked again. It's just hard.
Well, it's not just whoever did this should pay for it. It's obviously a very real continuing danger. Please take another look at the e-fit. Remember, he's tall. He's around 6 feet with dreadlocks. He had a Caribbean accent and those wide, staring eyes, which, I mean, he may not have all the time, of course, suggesting 600, 600, or the incident room in Southwark in South London on
Abel Melchiori is wanted for an attack on a woman who has learning difficulties. It happened at a care home where he was working in Newbury in Berkshire. Melchiori is 25 and small at around 5'4", and he speaks with a Tanzanian accent. We believe he may have tried to get a job as a care worker elsewhere,
maybe under a different name. And Petric Marina is wanted for a gang rape in Earl's Court in West London. He's 32, 5 feet 8 and originates from Kosovo. Petric Marina's last known address was in Newham, East London. We believe he uses prostitutes, so if you've seen him, please let us know. MItSubIShI was charged with rape in May last year but failed to appear in court. He's originally from Iran and speaks little English. He's 25, 5 feet 7 and his last known address was Nottingham. Nicholas Hughes was given bail halfway through his trial for 2 violent male rapes in September and failed to return to Southwark Crown Court. He was convicted in his absence and sentenced to 7 years. Now he's 45, has greying hair and a Yorkshire accent. Nicholas Hughes used to be a property developer and may now be using a different name to travel between the UK and South America. So don't let them hurt anyone else. Call 0500 600 600 if you can help.
Isn't that lovely? Paula Smith, thank you very much indeed. And Ben Morley, you've been surrounded by harps pretty much all your life. It's your family business, but sadly you're surrounded by rather less of them at the moment.
That's right. 21 harps were stolen from our showroom in Lechlade in Gloucestershire on Wednesday the 9th of March or Thursday the 10th of March in the evening.
I mean, 21 harps is an awful...
Distinctive turned feet that can be removed, and that's like an ideal to starter harp for people.
It's a lovely thing to look at. How long would it take to make something like that?
Something like that would take about 6 months to make, and would sell for about £1,200.
And what about these small? I've never seen harps this small.
So these are little lap harps, and they've got 22 strings, and they're suitable for things like busking, storytelling, schools and children, things like that, and also for harp therapy in hospitals, popular in places like Edinburgh for the Harp Festival.
Well, I certainly hope we can help you get some of them back. I mean, police say a large van or lorry would have been needed to move this number of harps, 21, obviously. So if you saw anything suspicious on Wednesday the 9th or Thursday the 10th of March in Lechlade, call 0500 600 600 or the incident room, bbc.co.uk/crime. Ben and Paula, thank you both very much. And now here's PC Jonathan Morrison.
I've just heard on the phone that a police officer's just called in. He says that he possibly may have found the getaway vehicle in the Stratford-upon-Avon jewellery robbery. That's the mauve Mercedes. Also, we've had lots of information coming in about the murder of the Enfield boxer, Tiger. We'd really like for a caller who rang in earlier. He didn't give his details, but he gave the name of a man local to Enfield who he may have worked for. So please call back, Nick.
Well, the rapists we've been looking for, 2 people have given the same address. On the Wakefield attacks on children, well, we've got so many calls, and that's where girls were approached by a man in a car, persuaded to get in, saying he was a police officer. We've heard of tonight of 3 other children who've been approached by this man, 2 girls and 1 boy. We've got 2 separate calls. Drives a neighbour's silver car. There's a great deal to go on there.
Okay, well, our phone lines roam until midnight tonight and from 7:30 until midnight tomorrow, so keep calling. All the instrument numbers are on CFATS on page 621, and next month's programme will be on Wednesday.
You're going to have to wait until 11:20. If you're going to bed before then and you can't stay up to watch us, do remember the sort of crimes we feature here on CrImewatch really are the rare ones, so please.
Thousands of people have gathered. Panic, fear, disruption, injury and possibly even death to the public.
The man behind the plot was Kamal Bourgas. He'd written the poison recipes in Arabic. Security sources claim he'd trained in military camps in Afghanistan. Today we can reveal the extent to which he went to avoid capture. For 9 days he was on the run. Then, by chance, police got their break. They carried out an unrelated immigration raid on this flat in Manchester. They didn't realise Bourgas was there. He grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed a police officer 8 times. Tonight we can reveal Bourgas has been found guilty of murdering Stephen Oak in a trial we couldn't report before. His widow has been speaking to the BBC.
He was just a lovely bloke. He was committed to his job, but also committed to us as a family, and always made us feel special.
Ultimate price in the line of duty. It was January 2003. He was part of an operation codenamed Salt, which aimed to arrest a man suspected of having loose links with terrorists. But inside number 4 Crumpsall Lane, they found Camel Borgas, a man right at the top of their most wanted list in connection with a suspected plot to manufacture the deadly poison ricin.
And that led to the chain of events which ultimately led in Steve being killed and the other officers being seriously injured. Stephen Oak is remembered on this memorial to the fallen officers of Greater Manchester Police at the Force's Sedgley Park Training Centre. But in the aftermath of those tragic events in Crumpsall Lane and during the criminal trial, questions were raised about whether his death might have been avoided if the raid had been better planned.
For instance, during the Old Bailey trial, PC William Hanlon said he was surprised that Borgas hadn't been handcuffed and added that he was not happy about it. PC Ian Brooks criticised the pre-raid briefing. He said it was possibly the poorest he'd attended during his time as a police officer. And questions were raised about the fact that officers, including DC Oak, did not have protective clothing.
The one thing that would be absolutely unforgivable is not to learn lessons from those mistakes.
At Stephen Oak's funeral, it was said that when the facts of the case were made public, he'd be considered a...
So lots of memories that we can continue to keep with us for the future.
The widow of Stephen Oak ending that.
Have you ever wondered just how much those old... You must have an idea of what this is worth.
Alan Titchmarsh presents the 20th Century Road. Where he attacked you.
Down the line.
Is crime falling? Or is it out of control? Panorama investigates.